a time that, like, what sticks out in your brain? Because I'm sure there are many times that a man explains something that you know how to do so well that you're an expert in to you.
Well, something that's so funny about being a woman and like working, like I work in education and I work in theater, and this is something my character can relate to my character. My character is young.
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to act older than she is, but she's much younger. I'm a young person, and I look very young. And I have male students who I'll try to be showing them something, and they won't listen for some reason. It's a very, very strange experience. Yeah.
How old are your students?
Some of my students are as old as 16 and 17 at some of the places where I go and like supervise. But yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do you think they don't take you seriously because you like look young and you're also a woman?
I think it's a combination of both.
Mm.
Yeah, and how as like my personality and how I approach things. I'm not very assertive most of the time, but I'm trying to work on change. Yeah. Yeah. What comes to mind for you?
I have 2 older brothers and a dad, so I grew up having men explain things to me. But a particular moment that sticks out, I was on a date with this guy in New York, and he is an actor and like is a working actor in New York or whatever. And I was talking to him about like acting and like my thoughts on it, and he was trying to explain Meisner technique to me. And I've trained in Meisner technique for many years, and I kept trying to say something, and he's like, but no, it's really about this. And I was like, no, I know what it's about because I took many classes in it. And he was like, but no, like it's really like this thing. And I was like, just because you yell doesn't mean that it's interesting. Like, it was mind-boggling. And like, I've dated a lot of actors, and I feel like I've been talked down to by so many men actors about acting. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think one experience that sticks out to me in theater was one time I was working on a production once, and I was doing a stage combat scene with like these rapier swords, and we were learning the choreography, and the guy I had to fight was a year older than me. And I was like going on water break, and I was by the water cooler, and he just like comes up to me, he's like, hey Kelly, just so you know, don't be afraid to come at me.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, cool. And it's just like one of my first productions with that like team. So I was just like, okay. But in my mind I'm going like, but your character's attacking me. And also, it's stage combat, so you don't want me to come at you.
Yeah, I've had guys be like really slap me, like I can take it, like hit me in the face, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but you're not Marlon Brando. Like, we're not method acting, and I'm not slapping you in the face right now. Same with like any sort of sex or kissing scenes. They're like, just go for it, and I'm like, I'm like just obligated via the text to go for it. Like, I'm not trying to right now. We're acting. Please don't give me acting notes. You are not my director.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Right? But I think it's happened in like most college productions I've ever been in.
Yeah. I think that same show I was working on, it was a very interesting environment because I was one of the only women, which is totally different from what we're working on here. It was an all-male production team. It was a mostly male cast. It was 4 girls, including me, and then 13 guys, and a lot of the other girls weren't called too much. So it was like being in a frat house every rehearsal. And it was just it was very alienating. It was not a fun environment to work in, and not a fun space to create in. But I feel like this is a much better space. This is like such a juxtaposition to that. It's cool.
Yeah. How do you feel like men explaining things relates to your characters in the show?
Well, as the waitress, I feel like her supervisor is probably a male. She's probably not. She doesn't have that much status in the scene as a woman. Whereas with my other character, Shauna, she's kind of trying to be what is expected of her, which is why she's not fully being herself.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that kind of plays into it. And I feel like she's the kind of person who would be like, and then just let it
Mm-hmm.
keep going and not interject. But it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like, do I want to stop you? Do I want to go through that?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, Griselda
Yeah.
has had like her whole life explained to her by men, either her husband, the Marquis, or her dad, or whoever. She's a poor peasant girl in Chaucer's time. She also is not a real person. She's made up for
Written
this,
by
a man. But I do think that Griselda does have thoughts and feelings of her own. I just don't. I think she filters them out through a man filter, I feel like she has her own thoughts and then she's like, but my husband wouldn't like that, or my father wouldn't like that, and I think that gets shown a little bit throughout the scene of having doubt about what people have told her. And then for Janine, I feel like she's a little more modern. I feel like she wants it all. She wants to have the family and she wants to have the things. And I imagine that she has a partnership with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
I don't see necessarily much conflict within men explaining things to her. I think
it's a healthy relationship.
Yeah, but I do think I don't think she's found, and I don't know if any of us people who have kids have found a way to balance having it all. Why is that such a myth, especially with women? I don't.
Yeah, well, there's such the stigma that comes up in the show where it's oh, well, if you're a working woman, you're neglecting your kids and you're a bitch.
Yeah.
And if you're a stay-at-home mom, oh, you're lazy and you're archaic, and it's there's
No winning.
There's no winning.
No. Yeah.
On a lighter note, we were kind of talking about this at rehearsal the other day before you got there. Is there any moment where you've been interacting with a man and you say something in particular about maybe a certain topic, or just something about women in general, and something we have to do, where they got an aha moment and you're yeah, no duh. Can you think of anything like that?
Mm-hmm. When I first started dating my boyfriend, I had a lot of conversations about harassment and consent and sexual assault and my own history, and it was around before the 2016 election, so we had just lots and lots and lots of conversations about that. And I just got out of a really bad relationship with someone who was super duper abusive, and so I had a lot of feelings about being in relationship to men. Mm-hmm. And he was very defensive when we first started having conversations about it, but then we had more and more conversations, and I kept trying to put it in his perspective of how would you feel if blank happened to you? Yeah. And then he would be around me and see the way men treated me when we would just be walking somewhere or going somewhere, or he would see the way that people commented on my things online, and I gave him access to that to be see all these things that you don't get to see and that you don't have to see, this happens all the time.
This is my daily.
And I think he was oh my God. Not that he didn't see or think that before, but when it doesn't affect you on a day-to-day level, you just don't think about it. You don't have to think about it, and that's part of the privilege, right?
Yeah.
What about you?
I know, it was my question. I should have had something right. Yeah, I feel I'm same. Similar boat. I think towards when I was in college, my friend was working on this PSA, and they were trying to compile things, and I see some of my friends do like posts like this on Facebook sometimes, where it's like, hey guys, like I'm trying to compile the most ridiculous things people have yelled at you on the street,
Mm-hmm.
or things that people have sent you online, and just like, or like your craziest like responses you've had. And I think one time I was walking and someone like slowed down their car and like yelled something stupid at me, and I think it was like one of the first weeks of classes in college. And I think I yelled back at him like, I haven't had breakfast yet, please leave me alone. I was like, it's too early for this. It's just too early in the morning. And I think he ended up being in my lecture like that day, later that day. And I was like, cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty
That's
funny.
a trip. I feel like most of the time they just like disappear.
Yeah, it's like,
You never see
I
them
don't have to
again.
see you ever again. But then it's like crazy, because even like online dating, I've stepped away from online dating because like people are crazy. My friend used this quote the other day talking about online dating, like, well, nice girls get murdered. Like, you never know like what people are gonna think you owe them, or what people are or what they're gonna have an impression, or what they're gonna say to you. Yeah, it's weird.
Have you ever had a moment where a guy did a really shitty thing or explained something to you, but they said, I'm sorry, like in a genuine way, like really was like, hey, I'm taking accountability, I want to do better?
I think kind of. I think one of my castmates once, I think I like asked him to stop like calling me like a pet name or something. He kept and he like didn't understand why, and it was just like related to like me, something that like didn't even have something to like do with him. I'm like, oh, just like don't like call me that. And he was like, oh, like taken aback, like okay, like he's probably like the kind of person who calls everybody like dog or like sweetie or like whatever. But then I like went up to him later, I'm like, hey, like it's not like, it's just like you're okay. Like you're okay. He was like, oh, okay. It's like not about me. It's like, yes, not everything's about you. I just so kinda, yeah. I guess no, not really. But
Kind of.
like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, because this dude can be like, wow, it's not all about me. Then like, I think we're making some progress.
Yeah.
Like some incremental progress.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to add to that?
I feel like the moments where I have had someone be like, wow, I'm being accountable to my shit, was when I cared about them enough to do the emotional labor of like, here are all the things that you did that really hurt me, and it's not about you, it's about your behavior, and behaviors can change. Like your personality is not the way you behave, you can change it. Like you don't inherently have to be this person. And there are different ways to be a man in relationship to other people.
Yeah.
So I feel like that happened when like I had a relationship where I was like, you and me, like I value and respect you enough to like tell you and like call you in.
Yeah.
And like the times where like someone's just been rude to me, I've just been like, fuck off, leave me alone, you know. But sometimes you just don't have the emotional energy to do like call-ins rather than call-outs, you know. Sometimes I just have the energy to be like, stop, rather than be like, hey, come here and let me talk to you about that.
Yeah. And that's something that in general needs to happen more, even though it's really, really hard and it feels like you're pushing a boulder up a hill.
Yeah, and like you're the one that's doing all this work because you're like, hey, I'm calling you over and I'm going to do all of this work to talk to you about it, and like you probably didn't even think about it.
Yeah, but when when the other person is willing to like meet you halfway and like do the work with you, then it's
worth it.
Yeah.